see, that's actually a moonshine still. We used to be the moonshiners. Obviously, there's not as big of a problem with it as there used to be, but surprisingly enough, there is still some out there, and we still do go after the moonshiner. So if y'all know of any, you can see me after the meeting, and we'll definitely look into it. You know, you can actually make beer and wine now. You can make up to 200 gallons per household, but you still cannot distill any alcohol. It's still a felony. So again, we do actually go after those. As they've previously mentioned, Ms. Riley is our commissioner. We have our director is actually also from this area. He's from Seminole County. Some of you may know Howard Tyler. He's actually been in Atlanta for a few years now. So, but anyway, he was born and raised down in Donaldsonville in that area. Michael Ernest, who is with us today, is our assistant director. He is actually my boss. And Christopher Luncheon is our assistant director, who is not with us today. And that's the contact numbers. That's our headquarters is the number there. And there's my information. That's my office number. Email is probably the easiest way to contact me. And again, Jeremy Thompson is seated over there. Jeremy is out of the Gainesville office, but he's also a South Georgia guy as well. He's from the Douglas area, so you know, don't hold it against him just because he's in Atlanta now. The Department of Revenue is the principal tax collecting agency for the state of Georgia. Excuse me? Click again? Okay, I got you. Thank you. The Department and the Revenue Commissioner were created back in 1938, and the Revenue Commissioner is appointed by the Governor and is the Chief Executive Officer of our department. In addition to the administering the tax laws, which we're going to hear a lot about that, I think the Commissioner is also responsible for enforcing the laws and regulations pertaining to the control of alcoholic beverages and tobacco products in Georgia. That's where we come into play, our division. The alcohol division is one of 11 divisions within the agency. It's composed of two separate sections, which include the enforcement section as well as the operation. Mike Ernest is our supervisor. He is over the enforcement division. We actually, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but we actually are certified peace officers, and we enforce criminal laws as well as our regulations. Talking about the moonshine, that is obviously a criminal law. So we basically we wear two hats. We do the criminal side as well as again the regulations as far as, you know, each business that has a license, we regulate that business. So we have a again, wear both hats. The operations section is responsible for registration, licensing, auditing alcohol and tobacco manufacturers, wholesalers, importers, brokers, and retailers. And that's a lot. They actually, most of their employees are up in Atlanta, up at Century Center at our headquarters on the operations side. There you see the number of law enforcement agents are 30 to 40 statewide. It varies. We have, out of our office here in Albany, we have myself and 2 special agents, and we handle 26 counties out of Albany. So we basically cover everything west of I-75. We do not cover Valdosta, but we cover everything west of I-75 and all the way up to Dooley County up in that area. So 26 counties of southwest Georgia. And then our Macon office is a sub-office of the Albany office. And there's a assistant special agent in charge in that office, and then a special agent there as well. So there is 5 of us that handle 46 counties, and we cover quite a bit of ground. Not making excuses, we're available. Again, if you contact me through email or that number, we'll get with you, and if you have any questions or anything, just let us know. A little bit about the federal side that handles alcohol. That obviously the ATF has a division, and then the TTB does the operations side essentially on the federal deal on their end. A little bit more about our division, and you have actually three different. You have the federal, which is ATF and TTB, and then state, which is us, and then the local law enforcement or local municipalities that issue alcohol licenses as well. As most of you probably know, to sell alcohol in the state of Georgia, you have to have a local alcohol license first. To get the state alcohol license, you have to have that local license. So they start with the local area, and again, y'all have, each municipality has certain regulations as well, and they also enforce criminal law, and then again, our department does as well. Our enforcement was created as a result of the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, which was the end of Prohibition in 1933. So we've been around for a little while. Oddly enough, and this was well before my time, but there used to be, from what I understand, and Mike Ernest can correct me if I'm wrong, there were close to 200 agents throughout the state, and that's back in the heyday when moonshine was more of a problem than it is now. And essentially they had a reduction in force back in the 70s, and most of the agents were transferred over to GBI, and left us with like 35 agents, which is where we are today, essentially around that number. Excuse me. And we still work often, not I wouldn't say a lot, but we still work with GBI anytime local law enforcement needs assistance or GBI. We're obviously a state law enforcement agency, so we're more than willing to help out there, and we do that occasionally. We enforce the criminal code of OCGA Title III, which is the alcohol laws. We also have, as I touched on earlier, we do administrative work, which is enforcing the rules and regulations of the state of Georgia. And we also enforce tobacco and motor fuel laws, which is found in OCGA Title 48. All right, the main responsibilities of our division as far as alcohol goes, we do the underage alcohol compliance investigations. I know a lot of you probably see on the news that City of Albany, the drug unit, does underage checks, where they send the underage undercover operatives into businesses, and we work with them. We try to work with them, but sometimes they get double dipped. Basically, we make sure it's a big problem enforcing the underage laws. So we do the underage compliance checks again, as well as some of the local areas do. We do application background investigations. Excuse me. Anytime a business has an alcohol license, it is considered a privilege in the state of Georgia, and we have to do background investigations. Specifically, if it involves liquor, our agents have to do a thorough background check, and we'll go into that a little bit more later. But we do investigations into direct shipping of alcohol, internet, as much as everybody knows. There's a lot of things that are shipped in, and we do criminal investigations into that. We do on-site inspections of any business that is licensed if they have a state license to sell alcohol. We have a right to be on that premises. We do as far as administrative searches go, we send our agents. That's what they do on not a daily basis, but one of their main things is that they go out and check a business. If y'all have a business that you think may be purchasing from Walmart or purchasing from other than a wholesaler, they have to purchase their alcohol from a licensed distributor. Any violations, any business that y'all think may be doing something or anything that's not right per law or regulation, let us know, and we have the right to go out and just do, if it's a complaint, normally what we'll do is go out and say, hey, it's just a routine inspection, and we obviously don't reveal where our information comes from. Nobody will tell us anything if we do. We still investigate bootlegging. As most of you know, nowadays it's a lot of areas have allowed Sunday sales, so that's really hurt the bootleggers. Used to, when I first started here, every town, I believe, had a bootlegger. Some of them had a lot of them. And that's one of the things we did was investigate the bootleggers, and we would go in, and that's a criminal violation, so we would actually have to go in and purchase alcohol, and myself and Jeremy, I think everybody's done a little bit of that, and we honestly had a good time doing that. But again, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist anymore, but it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Used to, what people would do is they would go buy a cheap half-gallon bottle of liquor on Saturday night and then sell them in small cups for a couple of bucks, and you do the math, you could really make a lot of money. I mean, not that anybody in here do anything illegal, but we still, as I touched on earlier, we still investigate moonshiners. We get complaints, and usually it's a joke. Usually somebody, I couldn't tell you how many times a month somebody calls my office and says, hey, so-and-so's got a steal, and then they'll start laughing and say, oh, this is so-and-so, I hadn't talked to you in a while. But we do get complaints. It's not one of our, I wouldn't say it's our main priority, but again, if we get complaints, old timers might make a little bit by themselves and just for, but still it is a felony. So we still do, again, investigate that. And, oddly enough, just about every year we catch, pretty good size operation. Predominantly in North Georgia, I would say, but it's still around here. So one more time, I'm trying to open it up for y'all. If y'all want to talk to me after the session, let me know if, that great uncle you have or somebody's. We also investigate major thefts of alcohol products. We ensure the integrity of the three-tier system, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little later on, but the three-tier system has been in place since, I guess, our department was put in. The hidden ownership of alcohol licenses, any business that you have, anybody that comes in that applies for an alcohol license, a lot of times people don't know that they can't have hidden ownership. In the state of Georgia, there is no hidden ownership in an alcohol-related business. You cannot have hidden ownership, and that's usually one of those things where we tell people, no, you can't do it, and then they, but obviously it's just as illegal if they don't know. But anyway, we try to steer people in the right direction. As long as it's, if it's honestly they don't know the law, then it's our job to let them know. But anytime we have people that are, and y'all know as well as we do, there's people out there that if, they're going to try to skate by and try to do something illegal. And, but the three tiers, what I was referring to earlier, is the manufacturers. You have the brokers, importers, and the manufacturers, people that make the alcohol. And then the middle tier is the alcohol distributors. The Albany Beverage distributes Budweiser. You have the different distributors that have to distribute the alcohol, and then lastly, the retailers, and that's the one I was talking about. They have to have a retail license to sell alcohol in the state of Georgia. That's not just liquor stores and convenience stores. That's also restaurants, bars, businesses like that. That's considered the bottom tier there, or top, whichever way you look at it. But those are the three tiers, and the ownership comes into play. You cannot have ownership in but only one of those tiers. And that's we talk about it at the office all the time. The alcohol industry is very regulated. There's a lot of regulations, and sometimes honestly it'll make you scratch your head and wonder, now why is this regulation? They're there for a reason, and there's again a lot of them that we have to really think about, but it is and we have had different licenses. We have a farm winery now that's really makes you scratch your head, because they can have ownership. They can have tasting rooms and stuff like that at a licensed where they actually make the wine, and it makes it a little more confusing for us, but that's our job. So our responsibilities pertaining to tobacco, as well as the tobacco compliance check. We also do the underage tobacco compliance checks, where we send what we do, and I tell people all the time, we don't try to trick anybody. We try to determine where there is a problem. If there's a business that's selling tobacco to underage people, that's who we target. We don't just go in and do one location, but if we get a complaint about a business, we'll go in and do the entire area, or try to, depending on how big it is. But we try to get our underage kids that work with us, we try to get them to look their age. We don't make them up and draw mustaches and beards on them or anything like that. We don't try to trick anybody. Again, we want to determine if there is a problem, and we deal with it. And these fines that these businesses get hit with alcohol and tobacco are pretty stiff. And I think used to, more so than now, a lot of times businesses just took the risk. Just said, well, I'll keep selling underage kids until I get caught. And it was, a financial, I guess, a gamble. I think that's changed some. I'd like to think it has. I know, again, I'm not patting ourselves on the back too much, because I know, every time we do operations, we still catch some businesses. So they're still selling to them. And honestly, people do make mistakes, but again, we're out there to try to make sure that places that are putting alcohol and tobacco in the hands of minors, that we do catch them and that we do deal with them. When we do an operation, we send one of our agents is actually in the store. We go in an undercover capacity. We'll go in and buy a pack of gum or something like that, and we actually observe the sale. That way we can testify in court. We don't have to try our best to keep the underage from having to go to court, because that's something that one of the last things we want to do is send our underage kids into court and having to testify. So that's one of the things we kind of take pride in that. We make our cases are good. Again, we're just out there to do our job, not trying to trick anybody. But we're constantly recruiting underage. If y'all have anybody that's underage, a daughter, son. We usually, our agents are really good. We treat them, usually buy them lunch, and try to treat them just like they were our kids. We're very safe. If it's an area that we're familiar with, we're not gonna put them in any danger. We'd rather just not do a place or come back later and do it than put a kid in jeopardy. So again, see me afterwards. I've got cards if y'all want to give us some information on some underage. And a lot of times we use kids that are interested in law enforcement, that might want to get into law enforcement later. And, again, it's usually a good day. We usually have a good time. We're very serious. We cut up a lot, but at the end of the day, we are very serious. We are very safe when we do it. Non-directory cigarettes within the state, that's maintained by the Attorney General's office. Again, just as with alcohol, we do on-site inspections of licensed locations that are licensed for tobacco. Tobacco smuggling investigations, we do that. It's not some of this stuff is not like an everyday thing that we do, but we do touch on these. Thefts of major quantities of tobacco products, distributor license background investigations, just like with alcohol. If you have a license in Georgia as a distributor for tobacco, you have to go through a background investigation. I left this out a little bit earlier. Any business that has an alcohol license or tobacco license is considered a privilege in Georgia, and they have to go through tax checks. That's one way of our tax agents. It's a good way of them collecting money from people that owe a lot of taxes. You'd be surprised, well, y'all wouldn't be surprised, but there is a lot of people out there that owe the department money, and just, it rolls on for years. And oftentimes when somebody applies for an alcohol license, it comes out that, wow, they owe money to the state, and it's a good way of collecting it. And I touched on that earlier. Assist other law enforcement agencies with alcohol and tobacco investigations, as well as other investigations wherever when needed. One of the current trends, current issues that have come up today, as a matter of fact. We were talking about some craft breweries. The 2015 legislative session did see some changes that allowed for limited sampling and provisions of souvenirs at breweries and distilleries. This is some stuff that has been in the news, but it's very interesting. Brew pubs are now allowed to sell growlers and growlers. I think Tifton has a couple of locations. I'm not sure about Albany. I don't know if Albany does or not. Anybody here from Tifton? Y'all are? No?
We have one.
Y'all have one? Yeah, and it's a popular thing. I know up in Warner Robins, since the military base up there, it's pretty popular. And I know in Atlanta, up in that area, the craft breweries and stuff like that is a lot more popular up there, which I'm sure is coming here. So, and there's our website again. I think it was there at the beginning, but you can find out a lot of information off of our website. And again, if you cannot find it, you can call Mike Ernest. No, I'm kidding. You can call me. And again, anybody that wants my card, I've got one. You can see me afterwards. A little bit more about the craft breweries. Highlights of House Bill, Senate Bill 63 authorizes breweries and distilleries, after receiving a permit from our department, to conduct educational and promotional tours and provide free samples. Breweries can actually give away 36 ounces of free samples, 72 ounces of free souvenirs. The distilleries can give away 1/2 free samples and 750 milliliter free souvenirs. The breweries and distilleries may charge varying fees for the tours, but the tour price cannot be tied to the value of the alcohol provided. Retail sales are strictly forbidden. This would be a violation of the 3-tier system that I talked about earlier. More on the current issues and trends. Special events. Every area has obviously special events, nonprofit organizations. In a nutshell, we get calls all the time. People want to know, do I need an alcohol license? Do I need this? We even have, and I think this is listed in there, people that I'm having a wedding. Do I need an alcohol license? Well, no, not if you're giving alcohol away. If there's no money tied to it, if anybody can come in and give have a drink, then you do not have to have an alcohol license. Now, if it's at a licensed location, then you cannot bring your own alcohol in. But the special events, you do if there's money changing hands, like if it costs $20 to go to the event and they're saying, well, we're giving away wine, that's not the case. They're selling alcohol. They have to have a special event license. Let's see, and lastly, all alcoholic beverages for the event must be acquired from wholesalers. Anytime a business has an alcohol license in the state of Georgia, they have to purchase alcohol from the wholesalers. They can't just, if they run out, they can't just run down to Walmart or a liquor store and buy the alcohol. And again, that's one of those that over the years I've had a lot of questions about. Well, why? And that's a violation of the regulations. And there's the wedding that I was talking about. If you provide your guests, just like at your house. If you have a party at your house and you're not charging people to come in, then obviously you don't have to have an alcohol license. But anytime money has changed hands. And once again, there's our website. You can go to the Rules and Policies tab and select the drop-down menu, and it has a lot of the bulletins and stuff. On the license investigations, one of the things, and we were talking about this today, a lot of times once a business gets a local license, once they get the local alcohol license, they think, well, that's all I have to do, and oftentimes that's not. Oftentimes they get the local license and they're still not able to get the state license, and these are some of the reasons, which tax issues, which I brought up earlier. Again, a lot of times people owe a lot of money to the state of Georgia, and that's one way we find out about it. Criminal histories, you would be disqualified, or a person would be disqualified if they've had a misdemeanor arrest within the past 5 years, even if that's part of their probation is served within 5 years. And as far as a felony, including probation within 10 years. So that's pretty, again, that's pretty restrictive. And then the 3-tier relationships, which is what I was referring to earlier. Anybody that has ownership in one of the other tiers cannot have a alcohol license, a retail license. And law enforcement officers cannot have an alcohol license in the state of Georgia. So, and that's just some of the things. There is a lot, but let's see. We, as far as our investigations go, we just did one this past weekend at a business, or assisted with one. But there's clubs every area, every town. I know this is not a shock to most of y'all, but most places have illegal clubs, and quite honestly, we find out about them usually when there is a stabbing or a murder or something bad happens. Usually it's it's just so and so down the street. They've been operating for years, and probably we should know more than we do about some of them. But as I said earlier, we do work 46 counties out of our office, and again, don't assume that we know, because we really may not. If you have an illegal club or anything like that, just let us know, and it may be something we're working on already. But we generally try to send an undercover agent in to try to make a buy and do criminal charges, because in a situation like that, if they do not have an alcohol license, obviously we cannot do administrative charges. We have to go criminal, and that takes a little bit more work, which is it's something that we enjoy doing. Most of our agents throughout the state are prior law enforcement, have worked I worked at the sheriff's department over in Moultrie with Cockwood County for 4 years, and I've always considered getting out and playing. We enjoy the criminal side. We enjoy getting out and doing that still, and but we do a lot of office work. We do a lot of other things, and sometimes it gets pushed to the back burner. But again, it is one of our areas that we do enforce. So one more time, if y'all have information about it, let us know. That's nobody's house in here, is it? There's what I was talking about earlier. There's shot houses, and I don't. What area is that? Is that? That's not one in South Georgia, I don't think. But that's.
I think that might have been Marijuana County.
Okay. But but yeah, the passing, allowing alcohol sales on Sunday has really hurt the bootleggers and the shot houses. But they still exist. They're still out there. But that's some of our people and some of the seizures that we've made. It's always interesting when we destroy alcohol. We take it out here to the Daugherty County landfill, a couple of times a year, and usually the inmates are the one that have to destroy it. We have to actually sign off that we saw it destroyed, and inevitably you'll see them. They'll take their front end loader or whatever, their equipment, and try to push a little bit off to the side, and we run over it. And, can't blame them for trying. I mean, but it's pretty interesting. But usually it's old beer that nobody would want anyway. But they probably would. But but some of it is we do have to destroy alcohol. There's a semi that wrecked. One of the things there you see on the right, single cigarettes. Probably not a week goes by that somebody doesn't call me and say, hey, the corner store is selling single cigarettes, and we say, well, how do you know? Usually it's not that blatant, but oddly, I've never really figured this out. I guess it's like an alcoholic that often people will go in and buy one beer, a single beer, and go back 15 times during the day. I don't understand that, but Yeah, but, yeah, is that what it is? But to buy a single cigarette for 35 cents when you could buy a pack for, that just, I'm not very good at math, but that's, but again, as you can see, the store is making a lot of money doing that. And what they'll do oftentimes is they'll sell to the people they know. And they'll keep a pack behind the counter. And then when our agents go in, they'll either throw it in the trash can or try to put it in their pocket or whatever. And then if we do catch them, they'll say, well, that's for my personal use. And they lie to us. It's unbelievable. But fortunately, we figured out ways to outsmart them. It's a cat and mouse thing, I guess. But we have the motor fuel division there you see on the top left, one of our guys. I know they've worked down in this area, not recently, but in the recent past, vehicles with running dyed fuel. Obviously, y'all probably know you can farm equipment. You can use the dyed fuel, which is they don't pay as much. It's cheaper. And what happens a lot of times, not just farmers, but people try to cut corners and run the dyed diesel in their pickup trucks or different vehicles on the road. And that's our part of our division. They do go out and check vehicles. They actually pull them over and run the straw down and check to make sure they don't have dyed fuel. So that's our offices. I said we're on top. That's for a good reason. I guess it's alphabetical order, but I like to think we're just the best office. Now we're right down here on West Broad in the Brooks Plaza, and that's our offices throughout the state. As I said, Jeremy Thompson's from the one yawning over there is from Gainesville, and our headquarters is Atlanta, the one with Asterisks, 1800 Century Center Boulevard. That's where Mike Ernest works out of. And there you see the other offices close by are Douglas. There used to be an office in Valdosta. It's no longer there. But again, that's all of our offices. And the phone numbers, that's my phone number. And again, there's our information, and there's my email address. And if you don't want to talk to me, you can talk to one of those guys. Any questions? Hi.
My name is Yvonne Ivan. I'm from Columbus, Georgia.
Hi, Yvonne.
And we have a lot of businesses in which they open what they call a event rental center. And they say they hope for people to have their wedding parties or their birthdays. So you're saying that that's a commercial location, and of course they're charging the person to rent the facility. So if someone's going to have a wedding event there, they do not have to have. They can bring their own alcohol on the premises?
As long as they're giving alcohol, if it's a wedding and they're giving alcohol away, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief Ernest, Assistant Director, excuse me. If it's a wedding and they're giving alcohol away, then yes, they do not have to have an alcohol license. Oftentimes you'll have an event center and they have parties every weekend and they have different people in there. And a lot of times that's to throw us off, to be quite honest with you, because we don't know who's going to be having the party. We can send an undercover agent in one weekend and make a buy. Usually the way we'll do it is we'll send an undercover agent in, make a buy, and then the next weekend possibly do a search warrant, because we can't just go in and do an administrative search. We may go that night, but usually we try to go either the next weekend. We try to get another buy, try to make at least 2 buys depending on what the district attorney's office wants us to do. But again, that throws us off if it's changing every weekend to somebody different. That's and there is a lot of event centers going up around, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think a lot of times that is to throw off law enforcement.
So,
Now, not all of them. Obviously, some of them are doing the right thing.
but
And
the city, we can make it more restrictive, because every time someone, if they're coming to us, we always tell them they have to hire a licensed alcoholic beverage caterer.
Mhm.
And we would not allow anyone who operates a commercial location and they're holding their facility out. It doesn't matter to us
you can have, and again, my boss can correct me if I'm wrong, but local regulations can be more restrictive than state law. You can have regulations. You can require them to have an alcohol license, and if they do, then we're going to require them as well. If you want them to be licensed, then yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the point that you're making there is good. What happens a lot of times is they're trying to share a club, trying to share a facility, is I think what you're talking about. And in most of those cases, they probably do need a license. But if it truly was just a place where you come in, you rented the facility, and you had your own party there, and you didn't charge anyone or anything like that, then there would be no license required. But the city of Columbus can be more restrictive than our laws if you need to be in that area. And I would understand what you're doing there.
One more question.
Sure.
We have someone who is selling, they're selling wine through the internet, and they call like the home wine stuff. This is a new little concept that's coming from Colorado or somewhere like that. Can they do that? I mean, can they sell, market their wine and they're bringing in from another, it doesn't matter where they're bringing it in from, but can they sell wine through the internet?
No.
Okay.
The answer to that is generally no. The only exception to that would be the special order shipping license that wineries have out of state to allow them to ship wine into the state. Like if you had a farm winery in California, you can order wine from that farm winery, and there's very limits as to how much they can ship you if they have a Georgia special order shipping license. But can someone actually sell wine on the internet in Georgia? The answer is no. Because it has to, alcohol sales have to be a face-to-face transaction.
Good question.
I have one more, and I won't say anything else, I promise. Okay, and these are questions that I council persons are asking. Brew pubs, we have one brew pub in Columbus, the Cannon Brew Pub. Now, they have a mixed drinks alcohol license, so they can now sell growlers, because before we would not allow them to do it.
From the state standpoint, they can. And I know that's something that our agents are actually working with them on as to what they're doing. Their situation is a little different, though. I can't say that, yes, they could sell growlers in their current setup, because the way they currently have it set up, they have a separate store dividing the brewery. That would not be fitting with our law at this point in time. There's going to be some serious corrections made on that place in order for it to be able to sell the growlers. They would have to sell the growlers from the bar area of the restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
Shannon, I'm here with the city of Albany, and my question is, how often do you actually go out and do alcohol and liquor license checks for those different businesses?
As far as inspections, it varies, but we try to hit all of our counties. We try to, spread it around. To answer your question, I would say we would hope to inspect a business at least every other year. I know some of them may not get that much, and some of them we probably do more than that. But again, if you have, if you suspect that there's something illegal going on, let us know, and we'll definitely. I can't promise you that we'll get out and do it tonight or tomorrow, but we will get out as soon as we can and do an inspection and check on it. Yes, ma'am. That would be covered out of the Douglas Regional Office. Yes, ma'am. And we can get you the information. If you didn't get the number, we can get you that. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
Is there a requirement to have a background check for renewing alcohol beverage license annually?
For renewing them, like renewing them on the local level?
Yes.
There's no requirement for an annual check. I believe we found that in the law, that there's a requirement one time. But I believe that it says that it's only one time, and after that, there's not necessarily a requirement there. Kind of the same thing that we do. We only do the background investigation on the original application. And then if they change officers or add people to it, then we would redo the investigation on those people they're adding. But as long as it stays the same, it's not required.
That's as long as your local permits.
Your local, yeah, each local jurisdiction can have your own ordinance. I'm talking about from the state side, and actually what's in our state code actually says that it's not required. I do know of some cities who actually do require some people to reapply for a license each year. Actually, they don't really renew them, they make them reapply for the license. That does happen. Yes?
Dovetailing on what she said, if you didn't do the background check with the initial issue, could you do it the next year?
Well, you're required to do it with the initial issuing. So that's when that has to be done. I mean, as far as when you can do it after that, that's really up to y'all. What we do as far as background investigations, remember, we're only involved in a background investigation if it involves liquor sales, or if it's an upper tier business like a wholesaler or manufacturer or the tobacco distributors. For beer and wine, we do not do background investigations at all. Now, I can't say they're not checked for taxes, but full background investigation for those upper tiers and the liquor stuff. Ma'am, you had a question?
Yes, I did. Amy Ellison, City of Americas. I have a local hotel that has an alcohol license that is being hired to, do a Christmas party for a local, distillery. It's just a Christmas party.
Okay.
The distillery, what they would like to do is allow our local, retail package stores to set up a booth at this location for them to sell the distiller's product. So in that location, so that's not, I didn't think it was, so they would have to actually go to, is the location specific for the license?
The
then?
location is specific for the
Okay.
license.
That's what I need.
Yeah. They need to go to that area.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was thinking. The one thing I was thinking is, would y'all issue them a special event permit to sell there? And yeah,
No, because we only
No.
do, special events for nonprofits, we don't have a
Correct.
for-profit special event license.
right, so, no. Any more questions? All right, well, we thank you for your time. If you have any questions, Special Agent Charles Littleton, like I said, works this area. We had him do the presentation, so y'all will get to see him, and he would be the one that you're talking to down here. So feel free to call him, email him. Me as well, my information is there. Again, with me, same thing. The best contact would be email, because we're often traveling doing these type of things, and might not be in the office all the time. But thank you.
Thank you.